Okay, the XY. All right. So I finished the XY on the Milo. Trying to think where to start here. So I did Ray's method of building the XY. So the stock instructions have you build each of the axes and install the rails without the carts on them. And then you put the carts on the XY rail and then you try to get the carts back on. A bunch of sad things happen and you don't want to do that. So Ray's alternate method leaves the carts on the rails. So you leave the carts on the rails, you build each of the axes with the carts on the rails, and then your final assembly step is to put the XY plate on the Y first because the bolts are underneath. You can't get to them after the X is on. So you put them on the Y first, and then you flip this over, and then you can get to the X rails this way. That way there's no sad things happening with the rails. So to get started with this whole process, the first thing I did was took all the rails out, X, Y, and Z. Took them out and lubricated them. I used mobile EP2 grease that I have here in sorry for the camera work, guys, but I have this in a syringe. So this will normally be in a big grease gun canister, but there's a bunch of sellers, they sell this stuff in a syringe with a little pull, convenient pull handle. It's really hard. The stuff's really thick. And then it has a blunt cannula. So instead of like a syringe that would stab you, it's got a blunt end on the end. So I took the carts off the rails, lubed the carts, put the carts back on. I wiped the rails down, and then put the carts back on the rails. So that was step one. Step two was to build the y-axis. You build that one first. You put this block on, and then you put the rails touching this block, centered on this block. There are alignment tools for the rails. You put the alignment tools on. I also checked with the caliper. Steve had a cool routine that he did with the caliper. So he took a caliper like this, and you could take that and put that on. Trying to think, he did the caliper here, and then you close this down here, and then you can get a measurement for how far off the rail is from one side. So play around with that and get a consistent measurement all the way down. Set one of your rails, get the carts on, and the other rail you can go ahead and kind of get it ready, but don't tighten it. And then what I did was I put the plate on the Y, put all of the bolts into the plate, and then you fasten this side with the plate and the carts on, and all of those as happy as they can be when you fasten this down. So one rail aligns the other rail. The other thing that if you look in here real close, you can see is, oh gosh, this I'm not doing well with this thing. Is the shims. Yes, I had to shim the rails, and I had to do this on all three axes. The C beams were not parallel or straight and parallel enough for me. Um, so I had to do the shims. I used the shim packs that come with the LDO kit. I chopped them up and stuck them under the rails until everything was parallel and happy as it could be. So I built the X-axis with the plate. I put the plate on it and made sure the plate ran really smooth, ran really nice. Once that was set, I took the plate back off of here, and then I turned around and I built the X-axis. You do the same thing for the X-axis. You build this. You have it flipped over with the rails up. Build it out. Same thing. You set one rail up, and then you can reference the other rail off of that, and the plate again with the plate. Uh, when you do the plate initially before you final assemble these, you need to put the blocks in. So there's a nut block in here, and then there's a nut block down in there. When you put those on, Save yourself some headache. Make sure they're completely square before you tighten them up. The way I did that is I ran one of the long lead screws through, ran it through the block. So you got the plate, you got the nut block on the plate, and you got a lead screw, and the lead screw is going across. I think I did it this way. I set these up and put the lead screw here, and the plate is almost vertical. It's sitting on the surface, the same surface these blocks are on. And you can pick it up and you can look at the light coming under it. Make sure that the light comes through evenly across both sides, and that's how you square it up. So you square the one side, and then you flip the plate over and you attach the other nut block on the other side. So once that's done, you build up the Y, build up the X. Then you put your plate on the Y, and then you flip this over onto the X, and you put the other screws in here. The only follow-up step is you need to, I used this one. This is one I already had, but LDO also provides one in the kit. That's a good one to use as well. But you need to tram these up to make sure that they're very square. Make sure that they're square as possible. So the way I did that was I set, I'm trying to think, I set one up here and then trammed off of this. And then I think I set the other one up. You basically want to, trying to think, I think I trammed it up here and then down to here. Anyway, you need to make sure that these are square as possible. Ray's guide actually shows how to do it. If you do Ray's guide for the alternate build method, if you scroll down a little bit, he shows you how to tram the X and Y as well. What else? Got Steve's wheels on here. I like Steve's wheels. This one is almost rubbing. It's not though. But yep, everything looks good, runs good. Like I said, I did have to do shims. I had to do shims on the X and the Y. I had to shim the rails a little bit on both. The C-beams on this kit gave me a little bit of trouble on the X, the Y, and on the Z. So this Z over here, this one gave me lots of trouble too. I am just finishing that one up, and it's definitely a bear. Yeah, so at this point, the X and the Y is finished. I haven't secured it down yet, but it's time. It's time to secure it. It'll be 6 3-corner blocks on this side, 3-corner blocks on the other side, and it'll be secured. Electronics is already done. So electronics, X and Y is already done. I am almost finished with the Z. I'm getting there. So that'll be done. And actually, I'll be ready to put the spindle on and then finish out the wiring. Get all the in-stops mounted, get all the drag chains mounted. So I'm not too far from finishing, but my next update will be the Z drive, the Z column. Definitely talk about that. That one was a little tough. I think that's it for this video, though. We're going to wrap this up. We'll see you on the next one.